does a past life regression and medical intuitive session look like? I'm going to share one with you that I just did for a client in case these are modalities that you have been wanting to get into. It'll support you on your journey. I did ask my client's permission to share this, and she said yes, because it would benefit you on your journey as well. And what she was originally coming to me for was experiencing a lot of pain on the entirety of the left side of her body and a lot of vertigo and dizziness. And she had been to a few doctors and done homeopathic things herself, but couldn't figure out exactly why these things were occurring. So, oh my gosh. So if this is something you got going on in your life as well, this will be beneficial for you too. Because I'm going to give a lot of insights about how to work through these things. Now, I am not a licensed medical practitioner, so you need to take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? And talk to your higher self and your own doctor before you start making a lot of changes in your physical recalibrations, but I'm going to tell you what was going on here energetically. So when I went into her energy field, I saw her crown chakra, and there was a big white cast over it, just energy that was emitting. And I said, what's going on there? And an owl popped out of the energy. Owls obviously are representative of wisdom, but also new knowledge and insights coming in. This one specifically was a great horned owl, and that's really important because they have these really big talons. And I asked, is this a spirit animal? Is this a familiar? And what I was told, it was more so an energy that she carries, like holding a lot of owl type of energy, but this is a manifestation of an actual owl that I was looking at so I could speak to it. And I said, do you think that you could support me today talking to the owl? Because with their talons, this is symbolic of grabbing onto things with their heightened sense of perceivability. So I knew that they were going to be able to help me see with more clarity as to what was going on. I said, what I want to go look at first is her left-hand side. What's going on there? That's the moon side, your feminine energy side with your emotions. And so I astral projected into her left side, and she was bending down on the ground, and she had gardening clothes on and tools. And I said, what are you planting? And before we could even get into it, I saw a row of, well, you know how in gardens they have rows of different plants? One of the columns, I'm saying columns and rows, but one of the columns on the very left-hand side, the soil looked burnt and withered. And soil is often representative of foundations and planting seeds for future growth. And obviously this was not thriving over here. So I said, will you go take me to see what's going on there? So we astral projected into that column of soil. And if you've ever been in a bathtub before and you dunk your head all the way in so you're fully submerged, that's a feeling that I was getting. And that's often representative of going deeper into somebody's psyche, while also at the same time seeing something that is further into their Akashic records. So we're going to do some timeline jumping here as well. Afterwards, I came out of the bathtub into the ocean, walking up on a beach. And I was like, okay. And this is when her current self, her astral body, came in with me from this incarnation. And I said, where are we? And she said, the beaches of Normandy in France. I was like, okay, what time period is it? And she said the 1800s or around then. So then we projected into a home, and there was a cot in the corner of the room, and there was a mom and a dad and a son. And the little boy was about 8 years old, and he was laying on the cot, and he was obviously sick. He was ill. And I said, what's going on with him? Before I could hear an answer, the mom came over to the little boy and was patting his head with a towel, because he had a very high fever and they were trying to get it down. And for a split second, the little boy looked at us, and I could see that he could see us. Not fully, but he could see through the veil enough to perceive the both of us. And I said, is that you? Talking to my client's astral body. He could pick up on her energetic signature because they are the same person. They are from the same soul. That little boy is a past life or a different incarnation of her. But because he was ill and could not see us fully, what he was seeing in his mind was almost like a mirage because of the sickness and illness that he was experiencing, so he didn't really pay it a whole lot of mind. So then I asked again, is that you? Is that, him picking up on your energetic signature? And she said, I think so. I said, okay. Obviously, I'm not going to talk to that little boy directly because he is sick and ill. I said, can I talk to his higher self so I can figure out what's going on here? I said, do you know why we were brought here today? Talking to the little boy's higher self. And they said, to remedy what cannot be undone. So basically, whatever was going on with him, medical practices were not advanced enough, and that's why we were called into his timeline, because me and her had the skill set to support him in healing. So this is when my client's astral body went over and put her fingers on his head like this so she could do a diagnostic and see what was going on. And I said, what is his illness? And she said, it doesn't matter what the illness is. I needed to show myself what I can do. So it wasn't her being callous. It was her saying, I needed to find a different timeline version of myself that has something similar to what I am experiencing right now, so I can reactivate this gift within me and heal both of us. So it could have been anything. But the reason that we were picking this specifically today was because of the energetic resonance between the two of them. So she looked at me and said, come with me. And we astral projected into his energy body with his higher self's permission, of course. I mean, we were brought here today for this. I was looking around and said, where are we? It was giving very much Magic School Bus. Where they went into that person's body that one time. Have you seen that episode? And she said, we are in his heart valves. His heart valves. And if that's newer to you, those are structures within the heart that ensure blood flow in one direction, preventing backflow and maintaining proper blood circulation. So not only was he experiencing something with his heart valves, my client in this incarnation is as well. So she said, this is something that I have carried over from that lifetime to remind myself what I am able to do. And I said, what is that? And her higher self said she can astral project within people's fields to figure out where physical misalignments are coming from. Something had to be off in your own body to hear this message today. So basically there had to be a physical manifestation of pain in her left side and also the vertigo, so her and I would connect with one another, because I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a medical intuitive. That's not a ton of work that I do, but I know enough and I've done enough of it, especially with the assistance of people's higher selves. Like a lot of times it's coming from your spirit team anyway. Like I'm the channeler and I'm transmitting all of the instructions and everything that's going on, the diagnostics. But I don't always work in the medical intuitive spheres, just if somebody specifically asks me to, if that makes sense. So all of this was coming from her. This is her spiritual gifts that I am perceiving and helping guide along with. That needed to all happen so she could heal herself and heal this little boy, and then reactivate the spiritual gift. What we were going to do today is we needed to energetically widen her circulatory system for blood flow and oxygen. Their heart valves were not opening and closing correctly because of constriction. A couple of different ways that we can support this on the physical plane, because we're about to talk about something we did energetically wise, but there's actual physical things that can be done for your physical body to help with the opening and closing of your heart valves. Reducing stress, which naturally widens your vessels via parasympathetic activation. So reducing stress, or stress is constriction. Okay? You can also send thoughts to your subconscious and autonomic nervous system that it is safe to release constriction. You can also do some inner child healing, releasing shame around doing things right or wrong, because that can create a perpetual state of pensiveness, like constricting your body, feeling like you're making wrong decisions or going to, make the wrong moves or say the wrong thing. So working with your inner children on that. Doing heart-centered breath work to get more oxygen in and circulate your blood. doing qigong for circulation. Now, these are some different foods that we can eat. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, arugula, or collard greens. Berries like blueberries, strawberries, or blackberries. Healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil or avocado. Fatty fish like salmon or sardines. Root vegetables like beets, sweet potatoes, and carrots. Now, these are just a few examples, obviously. There's tons of foods and drinks out there that can support circulation and ultimately your heart valves and the way they're opening and closing, but I wanted to give some tangible steps to go ahead and start. Her higher self also said that she really needs to watch her sodium intake because that causes constriction in your circulation. When your valves, your heart valves, do not open fully, that's called stenosis. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm just saying this is general information, okay? Or, if you see this in somebody else in the future. When your valves do not open fully, this is called stenosis. It limits the amount of oxygen-rich blood the heart can pump out, especially to the brain, because she was experiencing some pretty intensive vertigo. So when that's cut off from your brain, it causes dizziness, lightheadedness, and vertigo. So those things were interconnected with one another. So back in the day, my grandmother had a constricted esophagus because she had a lot of stomach acid, and when that comes up when you're burping or eating, it can do a lot of damage. And one of the procedures that she had done was it's called balloon valvuloplasty, and they put it in there and it expands. And then it helps with the regrowth of your tissues in your throat. And I was thinking, I wonder if that we could do that with their heart valves, but energetically, obviously. And the higher self was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And I invited all of her inner children to come in and blow up these balloons like the long skinny ones like you make animal balloons out of, and they were really excited about that. I was like, we're going to put them in her heart valves and we're going to put it in her circulatory system. And an affirmation that we were speaking over her field while we were doing this and to her subconscious: my heart valves are expanding to a healthy width. My heart valves are expanding to a healthy width. Now, her higher self said some physical, tangible things that we can do to our environment to help with valve expansion is getting an air purifier for your home, or getting some more advanced air filters for your air conditioner, specifically maybe to help geared towards people that have asthma or something like that, something having to do with your oxygen intake. Getting some plants for your home that help with air purification, like a pothos or a snake plant. If you have good air quality in your environment outside of your home, there's a lot of trees and nature around you or plants, opening the windows or doors for a couple minutes every day. Like air conditioning with the purifier is great and everything, but natural air is great too. Especially infused with plant healing energy. You can use a heated blanket at bedtime or go into a sauna. You can use a diffuser with peppermint or eucalyptus oils. And this is when she looked at me and said, well, what are we going to do for this little boy? Because obviously they don't have access to the things that we do now, like a lot of these things that I mentioned previously, and we cannot directly speak to his parents because we're in our astral forms. It's not like I'm talking to an actual physical person. And they're in the 1800s. And honestly, where he was growing up, they were not in the best financial place either, so that's probably why they did not have access to a proper medical doctor either. When I asked her higher self what we can do here, she said, well, home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. We are going to set up an energetic space within his system near his heart valves. And I said, oh great, why don't we do a luxury apartment in his heart chakra? Because it's a very different experience that he was having from the 3D plane. This is also going to help him with financial blessings in his life as he grows older. And time does not work the same in the quantum field. So her and I were going back in time to the 1800s, but it's all happening at one time. So us doing this recalibration in his field not only is going to help him with his health, but then again also with his finances as he grows older. And then we did the same procedure on him with his higher self's permission, with the balloons and putting them in his heart valves and his circulatory system. In the luxury apartment, we had a fridge that was full of the foods that I had mentioned, plants everywhere. We put in air purifier, a diffuser for the peppermint and eucalyptus. We got him a heated blanket, a sauna system for inside that he could step into. All of the things that I had mentioned to her, we did that, but in an energetic format, so he could go within that space with his higher self for his healing. So a couple of different things that I told her that would allow her to develop this gift for herself is to practice on people who have physical symptoms who use discernment. Because when I was doing medical intuitive sessions on people, I had a couple self-limiting beliefs that were coming up of, oh, I'm not a medical doctor, or what if I tell people something and they don't implement the things I said properly? And what I mean by that is I can do the energetic work over here, but then we also have an actual physical, tangible body that needs things differently than your energetic system does. Just like I went in and did the balloon procedure, okay, but all of those other tangible shifts that can be made on the physical plane, those need to be done too. Like reducing stress, taking vitamins and minerals and eating those healthy foods and getting an air purifier or a heated blanket. Obviously, you don't have to do all those things, but your physical body is going to need those things as well in order to make these adjustments so that it doesn't progress. Because what I told her is there are procedures that you can have done for your valves. Like you can get surgery, you can actually go and get the balloon procedure done on the 3D plane. Neither of theirs had progressed to that point yet. So if we are able to come in energetically and do these physical things, it won't get to that point. What I suggested to her is starting with people who are a little bit deeper into their spiritual awakening journey that already have concepts of what quantum healing is. Okay. They know how this works. Like, yes, are things being done in my energetic field, but I also need to do things on the physical field. Because what we don't want to happen is give people advice and then they just say, okay, that's good enough. And then they don't go and do the other physical things that they need to. So to get over those self-limiting beliefs is to work with people who are a little bit more advanced in their spiritual awakening journey with quantum medical intuitivism sessions. Also asking for support from their spirit team. I don't know everything. Okay, I only have so much access as Sage, this avatar. Okay, but if I ask that person's higher self, their inner children, their different incarnations, the consciousness of the physical symptoms that they're experiencing and where it's coming from. So you can directly ask the consciousness of their root chakra, or ask their arm, or ask their eyeballs, or their throat, like, hey, what's going on with you? Because they all have their own consciousness as well. It's opening the windows of perception to more input to come in. So I don't have to know everything. And who better to know than you? Okay, in these different versions that have higher insights of what is going on. Or the owl. She had an owl hanging out in her field, and I was like, hey, can you help me? Looking up things for confirmation and guidance. I channeled all of this from her higher self and the little boy's higher self. However, because I want to make sure I know what I'm saying, and for my own practicing reasonings, I went on Google and double checked a lot of these things. Was I correct still? Yes. I mean, and them as well, as the higher selves, but to give my human consciousness a permission slip of like, hey, it's okay to go ahead and say these things, like, let's do a double check. And that's fine. That is totally okay. Listening to other medical intuitives. Listening to people who are doing this modality already, because that gives you a lot of tangibility of, oh, this is real. I can do this too. It's not so theoretical with it being a quantum gift, a quantum ability. It just helps you see that it's rooted in reality. Okay, a different type of reality than just the medical practicing field in the 3D plane. But this is something that a lot of people are already getting into with their gifts and abilities. So I would love to hear in the comments if this helps shift your perspectives, if maybe this is something that you needed to hear for your own physical body. Or if you have physical symptoms or sensations that you haven't been really able to pinpoint what is going on energetically. I do offer sessions. You can find those in my bio. They're under Quantum Leap Coaching Sessions. And I will connect with your spirit team to channel what we need to see. All of the insights and the tangible implementations that we can make to create those energetic shifts within or on the physical plane as well. So I would love to hear what came up for you while you're listening to this. I love you so much. Remember to give a follow to join the community, and I'm wishing you an absolutely magical day.